Well, thanks everybody for coming out. Obviously this year hasn't gone the way I anticipated, and so that leads to you have to make changes. City of Pittsburgh, our fans, Steel Army, they deserve more, and like I said, that's what's led to me having to make a change. It's always tough to do that, but it had to be done. So that being said. I've known Dave for a couple years. Wednesday was the tipping point with the loss there in the Open Cup, and I decided to reach back out to Dave, and that caused quite a whirlwind. It happened quick. 10:30 at night, I called him. The next morning, he was in my office, and that's about how fast it went. It's kind of the way I work. I'm not going to wait around till the end of the year and lose another season. Like I said, our fans deserve more, and we're going to create a winner here. And this is the guy that's going to do it for us. So he's high energy. I told him this morning here maybe we'll probably get the power shut off because there's so much energy flying around this place. We don't even need the lights now. So, anyhow, here you have him. So fire away.
And I'll just say, Tuffy said it was a whirlwind. That's probably a classic understatement, at least under my definition of whirlwind. I don't know that I've had a crazier 3 days in my life, and I'm old enough to have had some life before me, right? So I've had some experiences, but yeah, it's been absolutely insane, but I think in a good way. And for me, and I'll obviously let you all ask questions, and that should be the major part of this, but for me, my experience at the Naval Academy was life impacting without a doubt. So really difficult to leave. At the same time, to be in a city like Pittsburgh, what an unbelievable sports town. I haven't lived here, but I know enough to know that, and have an opportunity in the pro game right now, which is booming in this country at every level, was just an opportunity I couldn't turn down. So I'm thrilled to be here. My wife Diane isn't here yet. Hopefully, she will be thrilled to be here once she gets here, and obviously open to questions from you guys or whatever I can help with.
Coach, was making the move to the pro game at some point a career goal of yours?
I don't think it was previously, to be honest, but in the last several years, yeah, I would say it was. In fact, I'd hit the point at the Naval Academy. It's such an amazing place, just institutionally. For me, I probably had hit the point where I wasn't going to leave the Naval Academy for any other college job. I think that had turned into a great place to be and a great college soccer job. The pro game, and I mentioned it in my opening comments, is just, and I've watched the pro game in this country for a long time. Again, I guess I'm old enough that I can say that because I've been around it and I've watched it very closely. And what's happened literally in the last 3 years is I think it's the result of a groundswell that took forever that's now just jumping through the roof. And it's at every level, and USL, MLS, and ASL, I think we can all see it. So since then, yeah, it got on my radar and it became a thing with me in the last couple of years.
When did you first meet Tuffy, or I guess when did your relationship begin?
When the change from Justin Evans to Nico being interim coach, and then eventually Mark Steffen's hiring. I mean, we talked at that point. It wasn't quite right at that point, and so we parted ways. But that was around 2 years ago, and so that's our first interaction. But we knew each other, and then honestly, it's not like there was interaction in between. But are we familiar with each other, and do we know each other and have a little bit of a basis? Yes.
Tuffy, what was it about Dave that made you want to bring him to your selection?
Just his energy. His accomplishments. I mean, fastest winning. To get the couple hundred wins in Division I. I mean, just the past accomplishments are just astounding.
So Dave, you had your first practice this morning, right?
That's correct. Yeah.
So how was that? Meeting all the players, or just kind of jumping right into that?
Yeah, I mean, it was great. I actually met the team last night, and that was pretty significant for me. I mean, I drove from Annapolis yesterday, got here in time. We met the team last evening, and so, I had a number of things to say. It was important for me to connect with them before we were actually out in the field. But the reality is, we play on Saturday. And there's 22 games left, I think, if I counted right, and that's 66 points still on the table, and there's just an awful lot of season yet left, but we don't have time to waste. And so training this morning was important. It's one of, a number, 5 probably training sessions, chances we have before Saturday, and it was important to hit the ground running. So, you have a situation, obviously, where I'm new to them, they're new to me, we need to figure each other out and that sort of thing. And yet, times it's happening and it's important, and we've got to make things happen here. So, but for me, it was great. And I told the players in the locker room this morning, I didn't count. I said maybe it's your 70th training session of the year, but for me, it's the first with you at the pro level. So I'm really excited. I hope you are too. And it was a good session. Certainly enjoyed it.
Coach, tactically or formation-wise, should the guys expect a huge change from what they've been doing from you?
A significant change, yeah. Maybe a notch down from huge. I don't know where that ranks on the scale, but yeah, I think it's a change. And, for each coach will have his or her way of playing, right, in any sport, and his or her distinctives. And so for me, I do think that's one thing about me. I told the guys last night, and there's a lot of buzzwords in athletics and in coaching, I suppose. And, look, talk is always cheap. It just is. It's doing that matters. But, I'm one of those coaches, very definitively, I have a vision. And I told them what that means is, it means that I know what I want it to look like, okay? And so that's important, and it may be an obvious statement, but I think in athletics, there's talent grabbing and putting them out there and saying, see what happens. And then for me, I'm always trying to make the whole greater than the sum of the parts. So for me, it's a little bit about maybe a lot more than just grabbing talent and grabbing players. Talent matters. It's important. At the same time, the structure of what we're doing, our team agreements, the vision that I have both on and off the field is what I'm most passionate about, and that's what we started work on this morning.
Ideally, what is your soccer team going to look like? What is your game?
On the field?
On the field.
Yeah. So in soccer, especially these days, it may be a little bit of a catchphrase to say there's teams that wait for you, and those are teams that sit back and counter, and there's teams that look for you, and we're a team that's going to look for you. So we're going to press high. We're going to play very tight to each other in terms of space, and so it's going to be fast, high tempo, high skill, on the ground. Working together, but it's going to be energetic, and it's going to be, I used this phrase with the players several times this morning, it's going to be what I call vertical. There's horizontal side to side, and there's vertical, which is going forward, and we're going to go forward.
Have you seen them play?
I have, yeah, just because I've had access on tape. And I even, before Tuffy and I ever talked, I just do my best to keep abreast of MLS, NASL, USL, and so I'd seen a couple Riverhounds games, and then when we spoke, I tried to do a catch-up fast, so I think I've seen 6 of the games that they've played. So.
Is the goal to keep Mauricio still in the net, or are you going to change it up?
I think it's early for me to comment on that. It is, just because I can honestly say I've been here less than 24 hours. So I'm asking for a 24-hour pass. After 24 hours, I have to answer hard questions. You're going to be looking at your watch. You're going to come back.
Coach, welcome to Pittsburgh.
Thank you.
But question in terms of, maybe you may have been asked, I apologize. But in terms of transition between going from being a college coach to a pro level.
Yeah, no, I haven't been asked that yet, and you're just asking for general insight.
Sure.
Yeah. Well, I'd say a couple things. My default mode is, and I don't think it's a stretch to say this, the game is the game, people are people, groups or teams are groups or teams. That being said, are there some differences? Yes, absolutely. And so, I feel very comfortable. I've followed the pro game very closely. I know a number of people in the pro game. I've not been separated from it, just in the sense of having access and that sort of thing. But yeah, I haven't been in it. You're right. I've been a college coach for a number of years now, and so there'll have to be a quick learning curve in some ways. I think the other thing I'd say about that, I think the structure of help support other people in the organization here to help me with that is very good, and that's going to be very important just because of where I'm coming from.
This question can kind of go for either of you, but has there been any talk as well when the off season rolls around, or even as the season goes on, in terms of personnel decision, player acquisition, how much input, are you going to have full control? What's the decision process going to look like?
I don't even know if I'm allowed to say anything. The owner's sitting right next to me. You know what I mean? I'm like, what do you want me to say? I think that's something. I've been here a short time, as you know. Already, there have been numerous conversations involving, to be honest, at least 4 people. I see that as a pretty collaborative effort, and I work very comfortably that way. And so, that's the sort of thing, because there's a couple things that are on the front burner here. One is, look, there's a team here now that plays on Saturday. And so that's on the front burner, is preparing them and making the adjustments we need to make. And not that the question you ask, those aren't even, okay, that's only could have happened in the future. That stuff's on the front burner now. It's probably a little bit second place, but there's some things always in the works. That's not giving away state secrets. I think whether I'm here or not, and at pretty much every team in the USL, there's always something in the works. And so, yeah, movement is possible, but my focus right now is on coaching the team here.
Have you ever taken over a team mid-season, or I guess where are you kind of doing this?
Right. No, I haven't. That's a fair question. I think it happens less in the college game, certainly. I came to Navy, in January '09, and so in the college game, the spring is very active, but it's not your official season. The fall is, and so I came in mid-year. To come in literally mid-season, yeah, this is a first for me for sure.
Do you have any trepidations about that, or just kind of?
Always, of course. No. Yeah, that's, but the opportunity's here, and the opportunity's here now, and I think it's something that's, it happens, especially in the pro game, and so that's okay. It just presents different challenges, and I think that's all right, as long as you know what those are and you're willing to meet them head on, then okay.
And just to clarify, you guys talked Saturday night, is that when you talked?
If I'm going on the record here, I believe we talked Sunday, 8 days ago, where Tuffy thought he might be considering making a change. I got a text late Wednesday night asking me to come down and meet with him Thursday, which I did. And I think I pushed him. He wanted me to make a decision super fast, and I pushed him back maybe twice for about 8-hour stints. And I think finally, I'm going to get my days mixed up here, but I think Saturday morning. Saturday morning is when I said
I wanted that Friday night.
Is when I said I'd
Saturday
come.
morning.
Yeah,
Then you wanted 8 o'clock. I said 7.
probably. Yeah. Pressure. It's getting pushed.
Do you have like?
Coach, everyone's been talking about energy and how you bring that to the table. Where does that energy come from?
I have no idea what they're talking about.
I figured it out.
I don't know. I'm like,
he eats those little round flat
Oh,
breads
now we're
with
getting
peanut butter
personal.
on
I
it
don't
with
think- I don't
chocolate
think we
chips.
can do
I
that,
figured it
so,
out. I got the secret.
yeah, I think, but I think to answer your question, there's different types of coaches, again, in every sport and in soccer, and that's okay. I don't think it's right or wrong. There's room for a broad spectrum. My personality is to be involved, on top of it, hands-on. I want to coach my players, and I just think, maybe especially in soccer, I think there's a broad spectrum of approaches to management, to coaching, and so mine is to be hands-on. I like to be in the middle of things, and I think it's just my bent, my personality, and the way I am.
Good.
And is there, what's the coaching staff going to look like? And I apologize.
Yeah, no, that's okay. And I don't know if you want to comment on that first. Let
Yeah.
me follow up.
Well, right now, Nico will be his assistant as of now, and he'll be. I'm sure there'll be another assistant here in the near future.
Yeah, I think right now it's Nico and I'm working with one assistant, and so that's also a work in progress as we move forward.
Maybe talk a little bit about your background, being from, Pennsylvania, Mechanicsburg, and you
Yeah.
coached at Messiah, and incredible
Yeah.
success there.
Yeah.
Maybe just
Yeah,
talk
no,
about
for sure.
that.
So I was, I've made 2 big moves now. And that's, I think, a result of the fact that I was at Messiah in the Harrisburg area for a long, long time. I tell people, so I'm 53, so cat's out of the bag, I was at Navy 7 years, so I was 46 when I came to Navy, and I had been at Messiah 32 years at that point. So it's crazy if you do the math. I moved there as a 9th grader, literally, because my dad became academic dean at the school. I grew up in New England, in the Boston area, and I'm 14, moved to Central Pennsylvania, actually went there to college. I was a business major in college, and I panicked my senior year because when the soccer season was over, I'm like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do now? Get a job? It just didn't look good. It didn't sound good. It didn't feel good. One way or another, I fell into coaching. I literally coached the junior varsity at Messiah for 3 years, and I mean, that's back in the day. They don't have that program now, but this is in the mid-'80s. I was varsity assistant for 9, so that's 12 years coaching, and then took over as head coach in '97. Was there as head coach 12 years. So it's 12 years as head coach, 12 years as an assistant one way or another, and 4 years of college, and 4 years of literally being a fan of the team from 9th to 12th grade. So if you add it up, right, that equals 32, and 46 moved to Navy. And here I am 7 years later, and happy to be back in Pennsylvania. And Pennsylvania, for me, certainly feels like home. And so whether that's Harrisburg, Pittsburgh, or whatever, it's comfortable.
Do you know much about the Keystone Derby?
I know a little bit. I mean, I certainly know most of the City Islanders staff and whatnot. I mean, they are obviously right there, right in the backyard. And so, yeah, I have an inkling of what that means and how important it is for sure.